You have to be 80. You got to be 80. It doesn't matter if you feel 80. You have to be 80. Check your driver's license. Were you born in 1941 or earlier? Huh? Yeah, right. No, I don't care if you feel 80 or not. I gotta go. I got a show to do here. All right. Good luck. Bye. So the mass vaccinations begin. If you were born in 1941 or earlier, thankfully, I can't remember 1941. I can remember, never mind what I can remember. Welcome to the 411 Live. Here, we're headed for Fiddler's Poorhouse, our hosts every week for the 411 Live with Lee Sterry. We are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars, and we are powered by WeeStreem. We are supported and sponsored by Simpson's Pharmacies and Performance Heating and Air, and of course Fiddlers. And we have a brand new sponsor this week. We're very, very pleased to welcome to the program Verge Insurance Group. Tell you more about them as the show progresses. So we are now a pretty much sold out program. So thank you all for participating and making this thing a success. It's really cool. This is season 2, episode 11, and we are going to take you inside to Fiddlers, which is opening at noon today, by the way. Change of hours. Tell you more about that too. Come on in. All right, here we are. It was a little nippy out there, but not a bad day for this March the 18th, 2021, and things are progressing in Ontario with the whole vaccination thing. And we're also going to be talking about the Oosterhoff situation and signs, whether they do or do not offend you. We really want your participation on that today. So come on in, be right back. And welcome into the program. We are live from Fiddler's Poorhouse. We have a bit of a cloudy, drizzly sort of day today. And Kevin, we've been batting 1,000 with weather over the last few weeks or so.
Yeah, it seems every day we're here, it's bright and sunny out. I don't know why, but we're like the good luck charm, but I guess St. Paddy's Day took that away.
Yeah, just a little technical note we will do live here on the program so that, Kevin, you know that I could not hear what was on the screen when I sat down. I can hear me, but just in case.
Turn yourself on there.
I am on. I turned myself, never mind, let's not go there. But I am on. It was just the audio from the screen wasn't
okay,
coming
that's
through.
no problem.
Yeah.
That's no problem. You hear everything good now?
I think I can.
All
Can
right,
I hear you?
Yeah.
I can hear you over there.
Terrific. Yeah, and hey, you know what, Lee? Brand new for the program today is we are simulcasting on Twitter.
Yeah,
for the very
thank
first
you.
Time.
Thank you for reminding us about this. This is brand new today. We are we're on just about every platform out there now, aren't we, Kevin? Twitter and live stream, of course, on Facebook, and you can find us just about everywhere. And you can also join the program. We do not have a lot of planned guests on the program today, so if you feel that you would like to participate, and there's actually a topic coming up, we're going to actually really beseech you to participate. We're trying to get a handle on this around Niagara. A couple of stories in particular surrounding our MPP for Niagara West, Sam Oosterhoff, and an event that just took place last night, by the way, that has gendered an awful lot of feedback and comment on social media over the last few days as this event was being publicized. So we want to get your opinion on that. We'll dig in a little bit deeper. And also a sign appeared on behalf of an automotive business in Beamsville. Also got a lot of feedback, and just wondering how you feel about some of these things that we'll go into, as I said, a little bit deeper as the program goes on. Are you offended or are you not? Sometimes people expect you to be offended. They are offended on your behalf, whether you're offended or not. There's the sign right there. Are we still using tranny fluid, or is it gender neutral now? All right, put up there as a joke, and social media blew up, saying that it was just insensitive and out of touch and almost bordering on harassment and insulting and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does it bother you? That's a question. And a lot of people are afraid to say that it doesn't, because then they're hesitant about being thrown under the bus or under the transmission, as it were. Do you care? Does it bother you? Is it just a joke? And there's poor old Curtis. Somebody threw Curtis under the transmission. With that, whoever you are, Curtis. Sorry, maybe Curtis put the sign up. I don't know. Anyway, those are some of the topics we're going to be talking about today. Also, we will bring on, there's Sam Oosterhoff. That evening with Sam took place last night. And again, as it is with social media, there are many comments that show up that misrepresent actually what the association is. We'll talk about what the actual association is, and then get your feedback, hopefully, on exactly how you feel about this. And if you made a comment on anything to do with the topics that we're talking today on social media, we would appreciate you logging into the program and making those comments live and having a conversation with us, because we'd love to hear from you and have a chat. And that's really what today's show is mainly about. You can see there on the bottom of your screen, click the Zoom link in the post, and it's really that easy if you want to come on and chat and tell us what you think about what's going on.
I'm just going to add to that, Lee.
Yeah.
When you do come on the show, make sure that you turn your camera on. A lot of people just click the link erroneously. If you turn your camera on, that tells me that you want to come on and share your opinion with Lee. We're really looking for people to hop on here. I mean, we've got thousands of comments on Niagara 411 on each of those two stories. So people do have a lot to say, and here's an opportunity for you to get it said and share your thoughts out loud with Lee Sterry here on Niagara 411 Live.
And indeed, also kudos, tip of the hat, and thank you to Nick at Niagara 411, the Facebook site with whom we partner on this program. So we share content and information on this program, and so thank you to Niagara 411 and Nick. So I want to run down an association with our very, very valuable sponsors. Again, this is a big week for us because the program is now sold out. We could not take any more sponsors if we wanted to, because we promised when we started this program that we would have a handful of exclusive category people. None of the categories are competing categories. It's not like we've got 8 car dealers and 4 shoe stores and these kinds of things advertising through our medium. We have category specific sponsors, and they are all available on your screen right there. And of course, our title sponsor, again, in the bottom corner of your screen, Gales Gas, the first to come on board, our title sponsor, and boy, do we appreciate the support from Gales Gas Bars Limited here in Niagara. They fuel this program as they fuel Niagara. Also, Carlo at Performance Heating and Air. Carlo was the next to climb on board with us, and we appreciate that. Carlo is going to be on the program to have a chat with us. You'll meet him and hear about his company. Is it next week, Kev?
April 1st, April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day. No joke. Carlo will be here. And Sean Simpson of Simpson's Pharmacies in Virgil and Niagara-on-the-Lake, that beautiful apothecary location in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Not to diss Virgil, it's a nice store as well. It's just that historic spot that we've all just been enthralled with for years in Niagara-on-the-Lake, the apothecary. Sean Simpson's going to be joining us, by the way, to have a chat about things going on in his organization at around 1 o'clock this afternoon. And of course, last but definitely not least, our new sponsorship and our new partnership with Verge Insurance Group. Mark, Blake, Shirk, and their entire staff, thank you so much for joining the program and showing your support for us. And we'll have an opportunity to tell you more about that organization as the hours and days and weeks go by as well. So thank you for joining us and making us a full house, a nice full complement of Niagara businesses covering a lot of different angles here in Niagara. We appreciate you coming on board. And you will notice also right under that Verge logo is our podcast logo, and we are available via podcast right now wherever you listen to your podcast on every single platform that's out there. There's no changes you need to make. If you want to just click in and join us, by all means, wherever it is you get your podcasts, we are there. Niagara 411 Live. So that is pretty much taking care of the business that we wanted to inform you about before we got the rest of the program underway. And I do want to remind you, like we did at the beginning, that for the next while at least half hour or so, we are definitely beseeching you, please. We want to get live and in personal comments about a couple of things, but it's really a singular theme. What bothers you or doesn't bother you about some of these things that generate so much activity on social media today? Two issues. One of them is just before you right now on the right-hand side of your page, and this has been covered probably for about, what now, a week, Kevin? That we've been seeing this up and down on social media, this Gen Z, whatever, challenging abortion in politics. I don't really even know what that means. I don't, does that refer to a position on abortion of politicians? Abortion in politics? I don't know what that means. And of course that's been a topic, a very, very hot potato topic in all elections, as to whether, and be it US, be it Canada, and anywhere around the world, abortion is a huge, huge topic. You've got pro-life, right to life, pro-choice, et cetera, all these various groups. So there was an event last evening at which Sam Oosterhoff, MPP for Niagara West, was a participant. And there are many, many people that took exception to the fact that Sam was going to be a participant in this event. And those views were expressed quite loudly, quite prolifically over the last week or so, as I mentioned. And the event actually took place last night. And as is usual with social media, some of the comments that you find are actually well thought out and intelligent. That sort of is in the minority, however. There are many, it obviously is an emotional issue, and this is what happens. I thought Dougie told him not to do this. Dougie, of course, is a nice polite reference, I suppose, to our Premier Doug Ford. I don't know if anybody actually calls him Dougie, but I thought Dougie told him not to do this. Such a disobedient child. I'm tired of his antics. He needs to start to represent all his constituents and not just the ones who fund him. And it's well known that Sam Oosterhoff's supporters are generally from the his church side and his religious beliefs, etc., out of that area. It's not a secret, and he's entitled to his beliefs, in my humble opinion. Now, what he does with those beliefs falls into your lap as to whether you believe that that's okay, whether it offends you, whether it bothers you. Do you even care whether these events take place? It doesn't mean that it's going to change public policy. It doesn't mean that public policy will not change it. Who knows actually what it means going down the road, except for the fact that the abortion issue is a hot topic. Now, the other aspect of this story is that there is a connection with an organization that has said that supporting abortion or an abortion event like this is sort of like pre-authorizing making abortion a priority is like Hitler making the extermination of Jews a priority in the 1930s. All right, that's a very, very volatile statement, and just about everyone and anyone has come out and saying, hey, you can't compare anything to the Holocaust. It's doing a disservice to history, it's doing a disservice to those people, it's doing a disservice to just about any sort of reference to the Holocaust at all. You just shouldn't and can't do that. So that is where a lot of the vehement social media protest came in, was the fact that some people were saying, Sam Oosterhoff says that abortion is like the Holocaust. Well, Sam, again, if you do your research, he never said that. He has been linked to or associated with an organization that said that. There is a difference, believe it or not. I can agree on some level with some organization that says something, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to be a card-carrying member of that organization. I believe in some of the policies that the progressive conservatives have done politically, and perish the thought. Also, some of the other parties. I think, well, hey, you know what? That liberal, that comment from that liberal was kind of interesting. Maybe they have something there. And also the NDP and the Greens and whoever. It doesn't mean that you fully endorse every single platform of where they are. You're not a card-carrying, flag-waving member of everything they believe in just because you happen to be associated with them in some way, or they are associated with you. Now, Sam may or may not believe what they said. The fact is, he did not say that, to be fair. But does it bother you? That's the question that we're asking today. Do you care? I guess caring isn't the right, I guess that's not the right question. Does it bother you? Because people care one way or the other. The worst possible thing I think you can say to somebody is, who cares? Well, that's demeaning everybody else who does care. Because some people do care. You might not care about anything like that, but some people do. So to say just, who cares? But does it bother you? Does it really make the hair stand up on the back of your neck when you see somebody like a provincial representative of a riding in Niagara that is as progressive and as growth-based as Niagara West, because it's been exploding over the last number of years and will become a bigger and bigger player in the Niagara region as we go forward. Does it bother you, whether you are a constituent of that riding or not, that this event took place last night? Sam spoke at it, and it was associated with this group that linked abortion to the Holocaust. Does it bother you? I'd really love to chat with you, pro or con. To me, I have to be perfectly honest. I think the connection, I think the group that connected the Holocaust to the concept of abortion is so far off base as to not even be in the ballpark. I mean, that's my humble opinion, but it doesn't have to be yours, and that's kind of why we're here. Does it bother you?
Yeah, Lee, I'd like to encourage people to join the show. I mean, people have opinions. We've got on Niagara 411, I'll show you here, just under 1,000 comments on this story that went live last night. So people have opinions on this. We'd love for you to join the program, and I just want to remind you that when you click on that Zoom link to come into the show and be a guest with Lee, please turn your camera on, okay? If you turn your camera on, that's my way of knowing that you want to come on the show. There's a lot of people that just, see a link and click it. But if you want to come on the show with Lee, turn on your camera, I'll see your face, and that'll give us the indication that you do want to come on the show and share your opinion. 1,000 comments, Lee, on a story that was just put out 12 hours ago. Comments all week long leading up to it. People have very strong opinions, and we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, and if you were one of the people that did make one of those almost 1,000 comments on that story, make the comment here. Make your case here. Please feel free to do that. It's very simple, And we'd love to hear from you, because our opinions are not necessarily your opinions, and we try to here present a balanced view of Niagara. There is a lot of criticism of what they call, I don't really know where this phrase started, but it started a while ago in national politics, is mainstream media, which has become sort of like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, ooh, mainstream media. Really? Okay. But that's what we're dealing with. There is a feeling and a belief that mainstream media, those devils, slant things one way or the other and do not do balanced reports. And the so-called, to be fair, the so-called mainstream media has taken some hits because of that. And I am not saying that there is sometimes not some slanted view out there in the newspapers of the world and the radio stations and TV stations of the world and news networks, etc., around the planet. Case in point, Fox versus CNN, etc. So, because those are the two most obvious slanted news networks that we are familiar with. Canada is not so obvious, I guess, is the good word, with its slanting of the news reporting and its position on politics and social issues. Canada is, I believe, much more balanced than others, but it's not perfect. And case in point, something, we're going to take just a little side trip here. Something that happened this past week that is very, very interesting, and I don't think we will know the impact of this on media information and how you consume information going forward. But it was announced by Torstar, the parent company of the 3 daily newspapers in Niagara, the Welland Tribune, the Niagara Falls Review, and the St. Catharines Standard, that as of the end of, I believe it is April, that there will no longer be any bricks and mortar offices of those publications. Everything will be done virtually. Their reporters, their salespeople, their admin people, etc., will be operating from their homes for the most part. And also this goes beyond Niagara and will affect the Kitchener newspaper as well. That bricks and mortar office, when I say bricks and mortar, that means there'd be nobody going to sit at a desk in Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, Welland, Kitchener, and who knows what other areas outside that. Everything will be a virtual operation, and for something that is as traditional a mainstream media as newspapers, that is a big announcement that took place this past week. What kind of impact, and they did say that it would not reduce how they serve their communities. We will see how that fleshes out. I'm not making a proposal one way or the other. People have been working that way, as you know, for the past year, and there haven't been many people, if any, going into offices at all anyway. So maybe it makes absolutely perfect sense. Maybe this is the way of the future, and bricks and mortar offices are not necessary. I do know that one of the benefits of people going to work in an office every day, regardless of whether it's media or any other office, is the fact that you actually have a chance to have some personal interaction. You have a chance to actually see people and talk to people and say, hey, did you see the Seinfeld episode? Whatever, you know, that sort of one-on-one, that need for companionship and human interaction, that is being diminished almost daily in one vein or another. What sort of impact will that have on the success of companies going forward, like what just happened to those Torstar satellite locations this past week? We don't know. Maybe it's the right move. Maybe it won't impact how you consume your information at all. Then again, it's too early to tell. But that's a big, big part of what is evolving in the new media, if you will. This program is on the cutting edge of that new media because we like to think that we are doing something that is unique, There are those, as you can see, their logos are around this page today, around the screen, that are supporting the fact that, hey, we're doing something different, we're doing something unique. It will also continue to evolve in one direction or another, and the more you participate, the better we are, because we get the benefit of your feedback. So that's just one of the things. Now, the other story that lends into that same question, does it bother you, is a completely different group, but it's the same concept. We are headed now into that very dangerous minefield called the LGBTQ community. There was a sign that appeared. Kevin put it up at the beginning of the program. Just in case you're just joining us, the sign was this one. Are we still using tranny fluid, or is it gender neutral now? Okay, now this is, on one level, clever. It is going to create talk. That's what these roadside signs are supposed to do. They are supposed to get your attention and draw attention to the name of your business, which is JNE Recovery, as you can see along the top of that sign. And we're talking about Beamsville, right, Kev?
Yeah, it's in the Lincoln Beamsville area, JE.
Yeah. So, I guess seems we're spending quite a bit of time on Niagara West today. But the hue and cry once again went out from members of the transgender community, the LGBTQ community, which sort of is the umbrella letter collection, I think, for just about all of the people that might be offended by a message of this sort. I'm not a member of that community, so I'm one of those people that really doesn't have a right to an opinion, frankly. It's like me speaking on behalf of, well, abortion, for example. Although not quite the same, because men do have a role to play in the reproductive process. So it's not exactly the same thing, but it kind of skirts the periphery of the topic. Does it bother you that someone decided to put what is arguably a clever sentence on a sign that points a finger at or makes a reference to a minority community or a community in general, be them African Canadians, black Canadians, be they Muslims, be they Russians, be they Catholic, be they Protestant, be they transgender, be they whatever. If somebody puts a statement out there on social media, or in this case, right on the side of your road, does it bother you? If it doesn't bother you, are you afraid to say that it doesn't bother you, for fear of people referring to you with all sorts of horrible labels, etc.? If you just think it's downright funny, are you a bad person? If you think it's downright funny just because of the play on words, it's a pun. Does it mean that you feel any way toward that community? And I know I'm treading on thin ice here. I'm just asking the questions. And the reason I'm asking the questions is because these are the sorts of things that blow up in business people's faces, they blow up in politicians' faces, they blow up in communities who share things on social media, and just like this, you are questioning whether there is anything that isn't a sacred cow. And by that I mean, is there anything that we can make fun of without being ridiculed by somebody or some group, or labeled as some sort of bigot for some reason or other. And again, I'm not promoting one thing or other. I can actually see, by all means, I can read that sign and I could tell myself before I knew what was going to go on social media at all. I knew when that sign was posted that there would definitely be a hue and cry, much opposition, and much criticism and outrage about that sign. I knew it, I could see it, and I was surprised that anybody would even put it on the sign, because I had to be thinking, what are you thinking? Really? You're going to put that out there because you know you're going to get slammed by many people from many different directions. I would like to hear your take on these kinds of things. Now, that sign is no longer there. The other sign that came up was Curtis. I don't know who Curtis is. Curtis is probably somebody with the business of J&E Recovery, and somebody decided, oh well, and maybe it was Curtis himself, I don't know. Let's throw Curtis under the bus or under the transmission, as it were. There it is. Sorry, Curtis did it. So we are in a very, very ticklish age. There are many entertainment outlets, many skits, many TV shows, many radio shows, so many movies that you probably could not make today. You would not see on television today, because we have to be eggshell walking. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Maybe we should be eggshell walking. Maybe we were too ignorant of people's feelings and social makeups years ago, and we're finally learning how to think before we speak or write or televise or film or whatever. Maybe we're finally starting to think or look before we leap, as the old expression used to go when I was a kid, and my mom would, mention all these epithets like "look before you leap," "stitch in time saves 9," and all these other things. But "look before you leap" is the one that we're talking about right now. Think before you speak, write, become involved with something. But does it matter to you whether somebody else does something? That seems to be the question that we're trying to get at. If I decide to go to a meeting of an organization or a group of people that don't tend to fall into your belief system, do you care whether I went to the meeting or not? I don't know. Now, I'm not a politician. People tend to hold their politicians to higher levels of accountability than a schlocky live stream TV host. Like, no, who would care? What I do doesn't really impact you. But on social media, that doesn't seem to be the case. What happens is somebody will say something and have an opinion about the politician or the public figure that might be more important, and all of a sudden that person comes under such a firestorm of opinion and hurtful comments sometimes that it's like, whoa, who knew I was going to spark that? But it happens. Is it the vocal minority, as they used to call them, that comes up on the Facebook and the other social media platforms? Or do you really care? Does it really offend you? Does the tranny fluid sign offend you? Whether you're pro or anti-LGBTQ community or not. If the sign doesn't offend you, does that mean you're a bigot? Or is it just something that's humorous that you look at and then move on? Or is it a societal statement?
What I'm wondering, Lee, and it comes down to this, and I don't know the answer, is...
None of us do.
No. Is tranny an acceptable term in the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah.
If tranny is, and I've heard the word bandied about, it doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. If it's if it's an acceptable term and it's one that the community embraces, then I find the sign to be not only humorous, but also of the time and respectful. They're pointing out the fact that we understand that that times are changing and people do have different gender identities. So, okay, tranny is also a term for transmission fluid. That's been centuries old. Well, I guess not centuries, but you know what I mean.
At least a century.
How long have we had transmissions?
Well, about 100 years.
All right, but if it's not an acceptable term, then it's derogatory. And to me, that's what it boils down to. And I don't know the answer.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Kevin. If you are a member of the LGBTQ community, and there is someone that is, what's the long version of that term? Transvestite? That's the full. I mean, that is the actual term, as far as I know. Would you call that person a tranny? And would it insult them? And I'm asking, Kevin's asking the question, and I'm just reiterating it in another way.
I'm asking sincerely. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. We're doing this sincerely. We're not making fun or pointing fingers or like casting aspersions. I don't know how people in that community refer to each other.
And I'm fully respectful of that. A lot of the derogatory terms for homosexuals have gone by the wayside. I haven't used some of those terms in more than a decade.
Yeah.
Just because I've understood that,
those are totally unacceptable terms.
Totally unacceptable terms. May have been something that you used as a punchline 25 years ago, but it's not acceptable anymore. All right, fine, that's gone. That's gone.
And the racial references as well. I mean, a word that I don't know when it became unacceptable, because it is now referred to as the Asian community, which is fine. And there was a horrible story about what happened in Atlanta, and a number of Asian women were targeted there. But and the term that is now acceptable is Asian. But that area is also referred to, or has been referred to, as the Orient. Back in the days of Marco Polo and the trade and all, et cetera, it was referred to as the Orient. So, and there is a word that is used to describe people that are from there that is a derivative of that word. And apparently that is no longer, as I understand it, that is no longer an acceptable reference to that community. So I, as a waspish guy born in Canada, I don't see it. I don't feel it, and nor should I. And I have no right to actually be offended for somebody else. But I don't understand how those things become offensive. I don't know. We used to use the E word for Inuit peoples in the north of our continent. Is that I don't know why that is a bad word, but I know it is. So these are the things that evolve, and those are kind of the questions we are asking of you, is to, when a sign comes up like that, when Sam Oosterhoff is invited to speak or appear at an event, because his political position on abortion is well known, and he has not wavered from that. All right? He is entitled to have that position, whether you agree with him or not. But does it bother you? Does it really bother you that this event is happening and the MPP from Niagara West is there speaking? We always, as they say, people vote with their feet, meaning if you don't agree, the next time an election rolls around, you cast your vote and you make your opinion known, and we go forward. And that's always been the way, but it's not the way anymore, because it is very, very clearly expressed on a daily basis by the thousands, as we saw, that you don't want to wait to vote because you want immediate gratification.
No, absolutely. And Lee, we're looking for people. A lot of people have hopped into the room. Again, if you want to come on the show, turn your camera on so that we can see you. This is a video TV show, so it's a
Yeah,
video
we got to see
format.
you.
Got to see you. That's my indication that you want to come on the program. Okay, we'd love to hear from you. Let me weigh in on this on the Sam Oosterhoff.
Yeah.
I'm one that I'm not threatened by different opinions because I know that the majority wins. So I'm not threatened by the fact that Sam Oosterhoff may feel this way because I know that the majority of Niagarans, the majority of Ontarians, and even the majority of people within his own party don't feel that way. So I'm not threatened by it. People have differing opinions.
Yeah.
No matter. I mean, you can put a chocolate cake in front of somebody and, somebody in the room's not going to like it. There's always a differing opinion. However, I'm surprised that when he continues to go rogue like this, that he's still allowed to hold the seat of parliamentary assistant to the education minister. That surprises me. I'm surprised that when Premier Ford said that he was going to talk to him in advance of the event, that he allowed him to go through with it or didn't threaten him with his own seat within the political party. That surprises me.
It does surprise me as well. And just in case you haven't noticed, it is that time when people in positions of political interest, if you will, are declaring themselves as candidates or not for the upcoming provincial election, which is right now scheduled for sometime in June of 2022. And there are various people around Niagara that have declared the fact that they will be running for the Conservative Party. Liberals and NDP as well, but right now we're just talking about the Conservative Party because that's Sam Oosterhoff's bailiwick, and the Premier is his boss. And it's known to me because I've been around the block a few times. I've had a few trips around the sun. That when a candidate is declared as a potential candidate, when anybody is supported by the political party saying, yeah, okay, you can run on our behalf, then their public interaction almost stops without authorization from the party. You are no longer your own mouthpiece. You can't just pick up a phone and call a newspaper, radio station, program like this and start talking about your political positions on things because now you have some connection with the party. Even though you're not an elected member of Parliament, provincial Parliament at this point in time, you are connected because you've got that blue logo beside your name whenever something comes out in the media. What I'm surprised about is the fact that Mr. Oosterhoff still feels quite comfortable in his own skin to participate in things like this that I'm sure he is aware would rock the provincial boat. I'm surprised by it, as Kevin is, that happens without some sort of sanctioning of the province. And as we understand it, that didn't happen because, as Kevin also said, Premier Ford has said he is going to have a conversation with Sam and flesh this thing out.
Another interesting theme that I saw in a lot of the comments, Niagara 411 and across social media, was people trying to suggest that healthcare is not politics, and that struck me as odd because healthcare is a political priority for almost every...
I didn't see that comment.
I saw it a lot, and I'm like, well, this is almost the number one platform during every election is healthcare. Like, healthcare is absolutely
It's the single
politics.
biggest chunk of your tax dollars that come out every single paycheck is healthcare.
Like, if there's anything that's intrinsically tied to politics, it's
education.
healthcare and education. So it really surprises me that they allow somebody to still be the political assistant to the parliamentary assistant to Education Minister Lecce.
Yeah.
And then on the side goes to an anti-abortion rally, symposium, whatever you want to call it. To me, those two things don't conjoin.
Now, let me ask you a question, Kevin, and I'll ask you at home or in the car or on the bus or wherever you are watching this thing right now, is would this have been as big a firestorm or catalyst if there had not been a connection to that group that had compared abortion to the Nazi preparation for the Holocaust. Do you think this would have been as big a deal, or would it have just blown over?
I'll tell you that you're combining two big ones right there. I mean,
know.
You want to start a debate, you bring up either the Holocaust or you bring up abortion.
And you're right, we got
and
both
now,
of them.
Let's put them both together. I mean, that's a political firestorm right there, and I have no idea why he decided to thrust himself right into the middle of it. Yeah. It makes no sense, and it makes no sense for the party to stand by him. That's what I'm not threatened by his personal or religious feelings. It doesn't bother me.
It's not going to affect me, because I don't see that as becoming some sort of provincial party mantra.
Exactly.
It's not going to be the mantra of the party. It's not going to be representative of our lifestyle here in Ontario. But it does definitely get attention, and perhaps and I think that's what leaders of political parties don't want. It moves the attention into a negative place as opposed to where they want the attention, which is they're trying to convince people that they're doing a good job. And then something blows up like this, and it's okay. Now we got to go back. Now we got to put this fire out. And really, that's really what the public relations arm of politics is all about. It's about putting out fires and keeping them from starting, if you can help it. But this one definitely was not prevented, and I don't know that it's out yet.
Okay. Now, Lee, we do have some other stuff that we wanted to touch on today on the program. I do want to mention, as you probably have seen behind me throughout the show, Fiddler's Poorhouse is open for lunch Wednesday through Sunday. New hours. They just began lunchtime this week. So there you go. There's some people behind us right now enjoying some of the specials. And, of course, you know what? What I should do is bring up Fiddler's Facebook page here, and you can see some of what they're doing. But, yeah, they're open for lunch, and you can come down and not only, enjoy a beverage, enjoy some great food, but you can come see the show as we're live here Thursdays from noon until 1:30.
Yeah, and there have been a couple of times that we've had to shift our scheduling somewhat to a Wednesday or whatever. Well, that's not going to happen. We are absolutely carved in on Thursdays at noon. So come on in and see us. We also want to review and thank again our title sponsor, Gales Gas, fueling this program from its inception. Here we are in Season 2, Episode 11, and right from the beginning of the year, and just even prior to this, they've been with us, and we thank them very much. Jessica and her gang at Gales, you're just awesome for us. galesgas.ca. Find out about all their hours, any locations that they've had to move some things around because of COVID, but slowly kind of getting back into normal. And they're not big changes for you, but any of those hours, etc., are on their site as well. So thank you to Gales Gas, our title sponsor here of the program. Also to Carlo and his gang at Performance Heating and Air. We're going to be meeting Carlo on April the 1st, and that's no joke. And right here on the program. Sean Simpson's going to be joining us to talk about Simpson's Pharmacies at 1 o'clock this afternoon on the program. Simpson's PharmaSave Pharmacies in Virgil and Niagara-on-the-Lake. And we're just absolutely thrilled that we were able to round out our full stable of sponsors this week by welcoming Verge Insurance Group to the program. And we'll have an opportunity to talk more about them and with them as the weeks go by. So to Mark, Blake Shirk, your staff and supporters, thank you very much for showing your support and your faith in this program, because we're kind of proud of it. It's accomplishing some fun things. It's growing week after week. We are also, by the way, in case you missed us at the beginning, we are also live streaming on Twitter and podcast, wherever podcasts are found, as they say. Wherever you get your podcast, whatever platform you use, we're there. All you got to do is search for Niagara 411 Live, and we're there.
Yeah, and we did have a couple of people listen to the podcast from Mexico,
really?
and from Switzerland.
Nice.
Most of the listeners, of course, are from Canada, but yes, scattered around the world. So Niagara 411 Live is really going global, I guess, Lee.
Nice. There's a fellow that may be joining us just before we sign off today, after we speak with Sean Simpson. And he's been on the program before, Dave Benison, and this is an entirely different situation. I got a text, a direct message, actually, a messenger message from Dave Benison. He's been on the program before. He's a truck driver with Challenger Truck Lines. He's also a historian here in Niagara, does bits for Historical Niagara, and and he's also kind of a nerd, Star Wars fan, sort of a Renaissance man, if you will. Well, he sent me this message and he said, "I'm in the hospital." Well, that got my attention. And he was in Port Colborne at the time, has since been moved to the Welland Hospital, and he has a very severe infection in his foot. He is also a diabetic, and he has been going through some really interesting times and came within that much of not being on the planet any longer. And I don't mean to over-dramatize it, it's an actual fact. And he's not entirely out of the woods yet. So we were chatting yesterday, I said, maybe you'd want to pass on a message for other people that perhaps fall into the diabetic world, as you do, about some of your experience. So he may be, there's a lot of things going on right now, a lot of tests and a lot of doctors and a lot of things happening in his life right now. As you can imagine, he may or may not be joining us before the end of the program today. Just thought I'd mention that and give a shout out to Dave. Get well soon, feel better, and hope you're literally up and around very, very soon. So Kevin, over the last week, we have seen a lot of media about vaccinations. Something else that's happening this very day, starting today in Niagara, the very, very first mass vaccination clinic is taking place. It is taking place at the McBain Center in Niagara Falls on Montrose Road. It is still being focused on any frontline healthcare and or emergency services, emergency responders people, and anyone over 80, anyone born in 1941 or earlier can call. Now, you can't just show up. You can't just knock on the door and walk in. You have to go on the Niagara Region Health Services site, whatever. There's a lot of just vaccinations in Niagara, and you'll find how to make an appointment. But you do have to make an appointment. You do have to be born to have been born in 1941 or earlier in order to attend. And the thing that makes some of this information very, very confusing is you will hear, because we watch so much media and hear so many stories and get so much information from different sources around the province, keep in mind, all municipalities are different. The region of Niagara is not like Halton that just went to 70 years of age and over. Not like Kingston, where a friend of mine just got her vaccination this past week, her first vaccination this past week, and she is 60 years old. So each municipality is very, very different, and that can lead to a lot of frustration. One of the other stories that I found online today is there was a statement by some of the people that were hired to man the information lines for Niagara, and they were told they'd have 3 days training. They had 3 hours training, and the online consultation telecenter was a mess, according to some folks, that it was ill-conceived and not properly planned or not properly trained, etc. I don't know whether that's true. If you have had any information or experience with trying to find out information about COVID vaccinations in your area, in Niagara at all, we'd love to hear about your experience, be it a good one or a frustrating one, because it's different all over the place. And if you watch broadcast, for example, on your television and it happens to come from Hamilton or Toronto, and people are getting vaccinated and they're 65 years old and they're just walking in and lining up or whatever it is, and you say, well, why can't I do that here? It's a dog's breakfast of municipal rollouts. Each municipality does it on their own. They follow provincial protocols, but they still have their own autonomy over how they roll it out.
Now, Lee, have something I want to share with you here. You're mentioning the massive immunization clinic in Niagara Falls at the McBain Center today, or is it at the Arena? Anyway, the city of Niagara Falls.
In Niagara Falls, it's at the McBain Center, they said, from the 18th to the 23rd.
The city of Niagara Falls put out a video, and here it is, and we can hear what they're up to.
Welcome to the vaccination clinic at the McBain Community Center. City of Niagara Falls staff have been working very hard in partnership with Niagara Regional Public Health, and now it's your turn to make sure that you're ready for your vaccine. When you're eligible, make your appointment through the provincial online booking system or by telephone. And if you need help, reach out to a trusted friend or relative. At the McBain Community Center, you'll find ample free parking, and the site and building are completely accessible. Free transit fares are being offered by the city for residents to go to and from their COVID-19 vaccination appointments. Now, riders are required to show the driver a vaccination appointment confirmation to board, and then again proof of vaccination for the return trip. Free fares are available on both Niagara Falls Transit and Niagara Regional Transit. You should arrive at the front doors no more than 5 minutes before your appointment, and only those with an appointment will be allowed to enter the building unless you need assistance. Make sure you have your health card and all necessary registration paperwork filled out before you get here. Let's end this pandemic. Get your shot as soon as you're eligible to receive it. And as for the McBain Vaccination Clinic, we're ready.
And at the risk of being termed negative, why do all these things sound complicated? Do they sound complicated to you? They by the time I get to here's what you do and here's how you have to have and here's what you got to do, and I realize that we probably have to go through all these things, but it just seems. What did he say again? What did the mayor say again? What is it again? Go online and read what you have to do, what you have to take with you. Don't just make the appointment and show up. Try to do or have somebody do your research for you. All right, just to make sure you got things covered.
Seems that this is a launching point, though. Is the Niagara Region website? All I did was Google Niagara Region vaccination.
Yeah.
And it brought me directly. The very first Google link that came up was this webpage right here, and this is where you go to begin booking your vaccination. My mother, for reference, she does not live in Niagara. She got her shot yesterday. She tried to book over the phone, eventually did, but she was calling for about 2 hours.
Oof.
So I would suggest going online, then you can just get it done and out of the way, and of course, the two systems are integrated. So.
And if there's somebody in your family that isn't really conversant with how to do things online, help them out and do it for them, because it'll get frustrating. And there are folks over 80 that aren't exactly as savvy with the kind of technology it takes to do those things online. So there might be people out there, even neighbors, that need some of your help.
Now, Lee, before we get to Sean Simpson, who's going to give us some great tips, I know you're about to get into it. Sean, for example, at Simpson's Pharmacy, you may not know this, but you can pay them to give you a COVID-19 test. And that's going to be really important for people that are traveling, and I know Sean's going to touch on that and a little more coming up, but that's really cool. Here's something that we wanted to highlight in the region on Niagara 411, and that is...
Oh, yeah.
Christopher, it was St. Patrick's Day yesterday. 2
green thumbs up for Christopher Hicks, a loader for GFL Environment working in Beamsville. Apparently he's done this every year for quite a number of years, dressing up like your everyday Irish leprechaun sanitary engineer. There he is, Christopher. Thank you very much. And don't you wish you'd have people even in those kinds of positions that sometimes others make fun of, that enjoy their work. That's great. Way to go. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. You know who I feel sorry for more, I think, almost than anyone? I know the restaurants have had a tough time, but tied into all that are local grassroots club, bar musicians and bands. People that make their daily bread coming into places like here at Fiddler's Poorhouse, and St. Patrick's Day, one of their biggest events of any year. The thousands of dollars that go by the wayside from local musicians in all our communities that lose so much of their livelihood. I really feel sorry for you. I used to be one many years ago, and believe me, I can't imagine how this has impacted your life. Sean Simpson is joining us. Mr. Simpson, it looks like you are in the throes of something. Which store are you in right now? Are you in Niagara-on-the-Lake?
I'm in Virgil at
You're in Virgil
our
right
Niagara Stone Road location.
Okay. Now, is it your boss has told you have to keep your mask on, eh?
Well, I'm in the store right now, and we do have a few customers milling around. So
Okay.
I'm
Well,
trying
good
to
for
make
you.
sure that we're providing a safe space.
Good for you. First of all, Sean Simpson of Simpson's PharmaSafe Pharmacies in Virgil, as well as the Apothecary in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Last week was your first week sponsoring our program. We thank you for climbing on board with us here. It's just super to have you. And having done a program with you for a couple of years on another network, as they say, I know that you do great service here in the community. So one of the benefits of being one of the underwriters of the program is having an opportunity to come in and have this chat with Niagara and tell us about things that are going on. You have a lot of events happening going at Simpsons these days, don't you?
Well, we've got a lot going on. It's been a challenge, I think, in the past year with space limitations, but we continued to offer some discount days for our customers and our seniors. So we have a big one coming up next Tuesday, the 23rd, which is our Customer Appreciation Day, and that's going to be 25% off all regularly priced items throughout the store.
Okay.
I think what we're trying to do is I've got some space here, so I'm going to try not to muzzle myself here. I've got a little bit of room, but we're encouraging people to use our online store. So we've throughout this past year, we recognize some of the challenges with people wanting to stay safe and stay home. So at simpsonspharmacy.ca, we've got our full e-commerce selection enabled, so people can also take advantage of those discount days online.
So Customer Appreciation Day 23rd, that's what, Monday?
I think it's Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay, so we'll be actually officially into spring by that point.
Yeah, I think the weather's calling for something nice. So yeah, we're looking for people as they get geared up to go outdoors. Maybe there's going to be the odd aches and pains as they get into the garden. So or get the golf clubs out.
And we get into allergy season and all those other things too this time of year, right?
Yeah, and allergy season is an interesting one too, especially this year in light of COVID. I think all healthcare professionals are ready, willing, and able to help, but at the same point, we know that the symptoms mirror a lot of the symptoms of infectious diseases like COVID. So, if you are suffering with allergies, please do remember the screening, and even though you may know that your symptoms are allergic, we'd encourage people to engage with us by telephone or other means so that we can help them identify what they need and make everybody feel safe. It might sound a little complicated. I know you were talking about complications earlier.
Everything seems a little bit more complicated than life ever has been before.
Life is complicated, that's for sure. We'll try to keep it simple, but it's not.
Yeah. Now, what is it? There's something I know that you wanted to touch on today, the asymptomatic COVID evaluations or whatever. Fill me in on that, because I'm not quite totally up to speed with that.
Okay. No, thanks. We're one of a few selected pharmacies in Ontario that are providing asymptomatic COVID testing. So basically, it's more or less been a screening program, largely for people that are visiting nursing homes, long-term care, retirement homes, both staff and visitors. So throughout the last 6 months, we've been providing nasal swabs to that population. And there's other selected populations that are eligible with, through the government program.
Right.
In addition to that, we've recently added a private option. So for those that don't qualify, in particular those that are traveling, we can provide them with their tests that would allow them to travel and get the travel clearance. So quite often it's about 72 hours before they fly.
Okay.
And we know now not a lot of people are traveling, but we are starting to see the need for travel pick up for a variety of reasons. And so we wanted to let people know if they are. A lot of people are having to source this type of test in Toronto, but wanted to let people in Niagara know that we can provide it locally.
Okay.
And we do that for the low price of $165.
Okay. And that is low compared to some. So with now, just to clarify, when you say asymptomatic, there's been a lot of these terms thrown around. That is a COVID test for people that have absolutely zero symptoms of the infection, correct?
Yeah, zero symptoms and zero contact and zero suspicion. So we don't want, we have the occasional person call up and say, my friend Jimmy has COVID. I want to get tested. Well, that's not our role. We can't test those people. Have to go to the
Right.
Niagara Health Assessment Centers. So ours is just more for screening. Other populations that have been targeted through the provincial program are like migrant workers, and they're starting to do and recommend more testing for staff at schools. So those are other populations that are eligible for our publicly funded test.
Now, when you and I talked the last time on this program, actually before you decided to come on and be a sponsor of the show, I was asking you what the situation is with pharmacies and vaccinations in the province of Ontario, and there wasn't a lot of clear information on that topic at the time. And it was less than an hour and a half after I left this set that it was all over the provincial news that Premier Ford and his crew were going to roll out like 500 pharmacies that were going to be giving COVID vaccinations, et cetera. It was like all of a sudden the pharmacy conversation took off. Now, I don't pretend to think that the Premier was watching the show, but all of a sudden it's become a big deal. So in Niagara, with regard to the pharmacies actually providing vaccinations, can you clarify where we are on that spectrum?
I think we're getting a little closer, and if the Premier's not watching, he should be watching. So, mind you, but I think that we are getting closer. I know that Public Health has been reaching out to pharmacies throughout Niagara to assess the capability and the willingness, and I think that data will be used by Public Health in the region, along with the Ministry of Health, to determine what the next steps are in the pharmacy rollout. We really do hope that pharmacies and primary care in Niagara will be able to offer vaccines in the very near future.
And I'm assuming that we will also be able to have whatever updates are out there on the Simpsons Pharmacy website as well. I mean, you're going to keep us updated as to what's possible.
Yeah, we're trying to keep people up to date as much as we possibly can. I mean, with information changing so constantly, it's difficult. But we actually have a COVID vaccine notification list that we're using to notify people of updates. We use that on the weekend to notify the 80 and over population of the booking system, and people can sign up for our notification list under the services tab on our website.
Okay.
I think we also have a banner on the homepage that people can click on and add their name. So as eligibility increases, we'll be reaching out to those people that are eligible. And even more broadly, as you say, we'll be notifying people of the status.
And there are a lot of things. If we were going to talk about everything that we could find out from going to your website, we'd be probably here till 3 o'clock this afternoon. But you have an awful lot of information on that website. As I was sort of surfing through it today, there's a lot of stuff there.
It's a lot of stuff. I mean, you raise a good point. Maybe we should condense it a little bit, but at the same point, there is plenty of information. And if people don't find the information they're looking for, there's a chat function, and they can contact us, and we'll get back to you with the answers to any inquiry.
Now, something else that you and I have talked about before, and before we have to let you go for the day. There are other medications, there are other healthcare needs, there are other demands on pharmacies such as yours, other than the COVID conversation, which is dominating the landscape today. And I just wanted to ask you if there's anything else that you wanted to comment on or remind people about your pharmacies in Virgil and Niagara-on-the-Lake that I might miss.
Well, I mean, primarily, Lee, I appreciate it. I think for one, what we're trying to do is give people an opportunity to be kept up to date as much as possible, and that's why engaging with the website helps a lot. The other goal that we've really realized over the past years, we're trying to make people getting the necessary items, medications, and otherwise as easy as possible, which is why we've really ramped up our delivery services for people across the region, and we've focused on really expanding our medication adherence solutions. So we've incorporated a number of new packaging options for people to make taking their medication easier and getting it to them on time, as well as focusing on providing electronic reminders when it's time to take your medication. So as technology improves, we're trying to embrace that technology, work along with it, and try and find ways to make people stay on top of their health as easy as possible.
All right, Sean, challenging times for anybody in the healthcare field today. You as a pharmacist, I know, if I remember rightly, the thing that made me contact you earlier was the fact that you've had your shot already.
Correct.
And you said yours was the Pfizer, right?
Yeah, I believe throughout the region right now, majority, if not all, of the vaccines have been the Pfizer.
All right. And have they extended the window between shot 1 and shot 2? I know it was 3 weeks to start with, and there's been a lot of discussion about being able to maybe extend that or widen that window, or maybe not needing it, etc. And that's another area of confusion. What's the current take on that?
My understanding, just from speaking with others that have been vaccinated, is that they are extending that second shot to the 4-month mark.
Okay.
And so I think they're contacting people as their appointment approaches to provide them with that later date. It seems that the interval doesn't affect the overall immunity, which is great. There's even some discussion that it may enhance it. And the other benefit is it helps more people get vaccinated sooner. So I think that's two positive spins on that scenario.
All right, Sean Simpson, Simpson's PharmaSafe Pharmacies in Virgil and the Apothecary in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Thanks again for being a part of our sponsorship crew. It's lovely to have you guys on board, and thanks for the information. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Lee.
Take care, Kevin. Man. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
A lot going on around the healthcare world these days. So thanks again, Simpson's PharmaSafe, Performance Heating and Air, our brand new sponsor this week, Verge Insurance Group. You'll hear more about them in the weeks to come. And also Gales Gas Limited, of course, for fueling this program. And we are now on season 2 and episode 11. And we're very happy with where things are, and we really, really do appreciate the support of you. Nick at Niagara 411, Dave McParian here at the Fiddler's Poorhouse, which is now open Wednesday through Sunday at noon. You can hear a little bit of activity in the background. Yeah, see, there's folks in here, social distancing, etc. here in the place. So Wednesday to Sunday they're open at noon, and the other days open at 3. All right. and Nick at Niagara 411. We have quite a team here, and of course, WeeStream that makes all of this possible. Kevin and his team at WeeStream that provides the technology and all the production and graphics and all the hard work, all the heavy lifting that exists on this program goes to WeeStream. So we thank you guys. It's just a pleasure to work with you,
Thanks,
Kevin.
Lee. Get in touch with us if you've got a virtual event coming up. If you have an event that was traditional in person, you postponed it last year and now you don't want to put it off for another year, get in touch with us because we can bring and transition your event from in person to online. We know exactly how to do it. We're pretty creative with our solutions, and we're remarkably affordable. And we're Niagara's own. And
we learn every week, as we were talking earlier, we learn every week about changes that will become permanent as we roll out, if we ever do, which we will, but when we do roll out of this COVID thing, there are things that will be permanent leftovers. And one of those permanent leftovers is going to be the severe reduction of bricks and mortar in-person visits, events, concerts. And I'm not saying it's a good thing, it's just the fact that we know that that's going to be happening. And the thing that is kind of exciting for me, being a part of this one program that WeeStream does, but also must be more exciting for you guys, Kevin, is the fact that this technology is leading the way. This is the leading edge technology that will come out of this COVID era, just leading the charge, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, pretty happy to be on board with this, with you, Lee, and pretty proud of what we put together here in coordination with Nick and all of our sponsors. And Niagara seems to be giving us a big embrace. So we look forward to carrying this show into the future, and who knows, maybe more episodes. Maybe we do twice weekly. Anyway, yeah, who knows where it's going to take us, but you're right. This is the leading edge of media delivery, and this is where media is going in the years ahead.
Which leads me to this quickly before do we have Dave in the green room by any chance?
Yeah,
I saw
do.
something pop up on the thing. Okay, well, let's get to him in a minute. But one of the things that I wanted to say too is never ever ever feel shy about getting in touch with us after the program. Of course, your comments are always welcome. Suggestions always welcome. If you have anything that you would like to come on and talk about or present to us on the program, you can always just click in and do that. But if you want to talk to us beforehand, say, I'd like to come on Thursday, can I do that or whatever, by all means, reach out to us and we will be more than happy to have that conversation with you. Right now, Dave Bennison has been on this program a few times before. He joins us now. He is a truck driver with Challenger. And Dave, how lucid are you, or do they still have you on some sort of wacky drip?
Hey there, Lee. How's it going? I'm going to preface, you can probably see my eyes are a little closed. So, and if you can see, you ask about the wacky drip. I don't know if you can see it. I'll turn my thing, but I've got 3 IV bottles going into me right now. So,
and those IV bottles contain what?
There's different medications. One's iron. I've got different antibiotics right now going in.
And this is because
pretty powerful stuff.
This is because you have had a recurring infection that started in your foot and has spread to your bloodstream. Correct?
That's right. Yeah. So a while back there, I had a small cut to my foot, and it healed up before Christmas, and then about a week ago, it reared its ugly head, so to speak, and it basically swelled my foot right up, and I wound up getting like a type of blood poisoning. Yeah, that sepsis and going right through right into my system. Yeah.
Now you have been told by a number of doctors. You've had like a parade of them in and out, because you and I talked the other day, and that you you were very, very close to leaving this planet, and you just got in time, and past that, you have been very close and to actually losing your foot. So this is
exactly. Yep.
This is a big deal. So people might be watching this saying, okay, now we're talking to a guy in a hospital bed. There's a lot of people in hospital beds around Niagara. Why are we talking to this guy? We're talking to this guy because you've got a couple of pretty important messages for our viewers today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and I want you to send out this is like a public service message from somebody that's actually involved with this thing.
Exactly. So one of the things, of course, I'll start it off is I've been diagnosed diabetic for about 8 to 10 years, and that's one of the things I want to bring across is it's something that you really have to take seriously, and it's one of those things. I was managing it pretty good for a while, and then the last little while, of course, with COVID going and stuff, and I was working a lot. I sort of let it go, and wasn't monitoring it properly and stuff, and it wound up basically coming back to haunt me, and that's part of, what I mean, is being diabetic. You really have to take care of what's going on with that, but you also have to take care of your feet. It's very, very important. I've been learning a lot of this, especially in the hospital here, from the nurses and stuff, which I gotta say, Lee, they have been fantastic here to me ever since I've come in. Great team of people been looking after me, but it's very important that anybody with diabetes, that take care of your feet. Make sure you wear proper foot protection. That was part of what happened with me is, I went outside, this was before Christmas, and I wound up stepping on a piece of glass, and that wound up coming back, later on to haunt me. And it went to the point where, a week ago, so I've been in the hospital almost a week now, but a week ago, I was coming home from work, and it went from 0 to 60 within days. And I basically, I started getting chills, and my foot swelled up, and I actually, you can see my eyes are closed because it actually was affecting my vision. And I have 20/20 vision. I always said a week ago, I could spot a flea on an elephant's backside at 1,000 yards. Now I can barely see the elephant, and that's how bad it's gone within a week. And basically what it is it's the poison. So the poison's got into my bone of my foot, and it started traveling into my system. And basically what it does is it shuts your organs down, and that's what was happening. So I was having like organs, problems. My blood sugar went up to like 28, which is like really, really high. People who know about blood sugar, they know that's a bad number. My blood pressure was off the scale, and I was having chills.
So you were a centimeter away from, at the very least, losing your foot and perhaps even losing your life. And we're not putting too much. Too fine a point on this. You came very close to checking out.
Yeah, and like you said about the foot, and that was an interesting, not interesting, but quite the shock when you come in and the doctor comes in and he says to you point blankly. Actually, I had a little discussion with Lee about this. He came in and he looked at it for a few minutes, and it's like, well, we might be taking that thing off today. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's not something that makes your day.
No. Yeah, and I forgot his name, but I give him a really good nickname. I call him Dr. Lopoff.
Okay.
Dr. Lopoff saw me a couple of times, but he came out of it after a couple of days, and
All right.
so the diagnosis now is they believe they can save the foot. So I'm going to be on a 5-week regimen of stuff, and of antibiotics, but
Okay.
a lot of it's up to me too. I've got to change a lot of what I have to do. I have to follow
That's for
a strict
sure.
regimen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this, but
So-
one of the things I wanted to, you were talking about all the COVID stuff, and it's amazing how, we hear about how I'm getting a really good firsthand of how everything works here, especially with COVID, and that you'll see I'm not wearing a mask right now. I've had a lot of people ask me about that. So while you're in your room, you don't have to wear a mask, but if I go out of my room, I have to wear a mask because of COVID.
Right.
Any questions, Lee? Go ahead.
No, we're gonna say so long. We're gonna say get well and be better. And the message here is, for anyone that is in that diabetic spectrum, by all means, look after yourself. Know what you're doing. Obviously, Dave did not do that, so don't be a Dave.
That's right. Don't be a Dave. I've been yelled at by 6 different doctors and stuff,
Okay. All right.
and gone around the thing. But yes, take care of your feet. Watch your diabetes, because I was a relatively, healthy person, and boom, it went from 0 to 60, and it can happen to anybody.
Well, Dave Bennison, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Man, get out of there soon, live from the Welland Hospital. All the best. Godspeed.
Thank you. And it's great people here. They're so fantastic. I got to say that.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks. Thanks for looking after our pal there, you folks at Welland Hospital. So,
That's right.
yeah, not a conversation that you want to have with somebody, because that's how quickly you can lose people these days if you're not looking after things. So that's a non-COVID health public service announcement live from the Welland Hospital here on Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry and Kevin Jack and Gales Gas and Performance Heating and Air and Simpsons and Verge Insurance Group and all of Niagara through Nick at Niagara 411. Interesting show. Kevin, I know you've probably been sourcing some sort of musical guest for today's program.
Yeah, and you mentioned we like to feature up-and-coming artists.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that last night would have been like a payday for bands and artists across Niagara, filling every single bar on St. Paddy's Day. So those are the bands that we like to feature on the program. And today we're going to be listening to Gravely James. He's a great guy. I worked with him about a year ago now on a little multimedia project that we put together. Last summer, he put together an acoustic album during COVID. It's pretty good, and he does have a gravelly voice. Did I call him Gravely James? It's Gravelly James. Gravelly James. He doesn't have a gravelly voice. He's got a gravelly voice. Yeah. So his song 103. But I'll let you bid adieu. Oh, here, you know what? I'll show you I'll let you bid adieu to the show, and then we'll throw to the street view here.
Yeah, there we go. We are, again, going to be back next Thursday at noon. Hope you can join us. You can actually join us here in-house at Fiddler's Poorhouse. I know there are the restrictions in place as well. I think maximum of 10, and the distancing is all set up and everything. But if you want to make plans to come on in, give them a call and join us. And that, again, will be episode 12 here. We will be officially into spring as of this weekend. Had some pretty good weather here in March, so that's kind of cool. And episode 12 of the 411 Live with Lee Sterry will be here next week, fueled by Gales Gas Bars, supported by Performance Heating and Air, Simpsons, PharmaSave, Virgil, and Niagara-on-the-Lake, and our brand new sponsor. We thank you very much for joining us, Verge Insurance Group. Thanks, Sean Simpson, for joining us today. We thank you for being with us today as well, and of course, Dave Bennison. We do wish you well, and by all means, if you are in the diabetic community, look after yourself and pay attention. All right, Gravely James coming up to play us off the stage. I am Lee Sterry, and it's been super to have you here once again. Catch you in a week.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Gravely James here with my very good friend Steve and my other very good friend Andy C. And this is a song about a runaway bride. It's called 103. On a four-leaf clover, you're waiting for a lifetime lover, you're waiting for the grass to grow, the parting of the seas. You're my sweetest darling, why must you be stalling? When I asked for your hand, you swore your love to me. Will I be waiting and waiting till you're 103? Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Come back to me. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Come back to me. Will I be waiting, waiting till you're 103? Come back, Franny. To the church on time, flowers look so fine. Had my best suit on, looking pretty sharp. You were dressed in white, then you were out of sight. Had cold feet, had a fright, left me in the dark. Will I be waiting, waiting, waiting on lonesome heart? Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Come back to me. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Come back to me. Will I be waiting, waiting till you're 103? Waiting on a four-leaf clover. You're waiting for a lifetime lover. You're waiting for the grass to grow, the parting of the seas. You're my sweetest darling. Why must you be stalling? When I asked for your hand, you swore you loved me. Will I be waiting, waiting till you're 103? Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Come back to me. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Franny wants come home, come home. Come back to me. Will I be waiting, waiting till you're 103? Will I be waiting, waiting till you're 103? Will I be waiting, waiting till